Rise of Robots continues as we take a look at Megas XLR, a show brought to us by Jody Schaefer and George Christic, the same creative team that you may know from MTV's Downtown.
Living here in Jersey, fighting villains from afar. You gotta find first gear in your giant robot car.
The story actually kicks off in the distant future. Humanity is on its last legs in a war against the evil Glorft Empire, who, for the record, are giant squids in mech suits who pilot even bigger mech suits for some reason. In a last-ditch attempt at victory, Kiva, voiced by Wendy Lee, an ace pilot, steals the Megas, a brand new battle robot that could turn the tide of the war. Too bad for her, the time drive on the robot ends up getting it sent way into the past, landing in the city of, get this, Jersey, where it's dug out by Harold Coop Kowalski, voiced by David DeLuca, a massive gearhead who rebuilds the bot using parts from his Plymouth Barracuda and classic video games. This essentially means he's the only one who can pilot it now. So now Kiva must train Coop and fight off the advances of War Master Gorth, a Glorf commander who pursued Kiva back in time.
We're wasting time! There's no reason to fight! That robot you're piloting was sent back to this time by mistake.
Hey, you started it.
Actually, you did, Coop.
Listen! We need Megas to avert an alien invasion in the far future. We captured that robot from the Glorft, an advanced race that conquered Earth, so we could use it against them.
Huh?
I've spent the last 2 years modifying Megas so I could take it back to a point in the conflict where we could help change the outcome of the war in the future.
Huh?
If this seems like a lot of story to digest, trust me, it's really not. It's more like a pretext to run wild with all the kinds of crazy shenanigans on both Earth and in space. If Symbiotic Titan was a drama propped up by comedy, then Megas XLR is the complete flip side of that. Heck, the main bad guys, the Glorf, provide actually a very minor threat at best. Most of the time it's an alien monster of the week the heroes must contend with. The major joke, of course, being that Coop in his stubborn recklessness ends up causing more damage to Jersey City than he actually stops. Backing up Coop and Kiva is Jamie, voiced by, in a very rare sidekick turn, by Stephen Blum. Jamie is a self-obsessed, self-absorbed scammer who just so happens to be Coop's very best friend from childhood. Consider him Daffy Duck to Coop's Bugs Bunny. Actually, come to think of it, that might be giving the guy way too much credit.
What the heck are we looking for again?
Photonic stabilizer?
What's it look like?
I don't know. You're the expert.
Photonic stabilizer? Photonic stabilizer?
Photonic stabilizer.
One of the things that stuck out to me about Megas XLR right away was the music. You already heard a bit of the awesome theme song by Ragtime Revolutionaries, but really all the tunes in the show are great and possess that awesome real rock and roll flavor that informs the rest of the series. Now, surprisingly, when it comes to the comedy, I thought this show was going to be all in my face, and yet I was pleasantly surprised to see that some of the best and funniest jokes were actually the really subtle, understated sign and sight gags. The best, of course, being the jabs at MTV stand-in Pop TV, as well as all the conveniently empty building signs. And if you're like me and enjoy nerdy references, well, then you'll be in mech hog heaven. I'm talking loving shoutouts to the G1 Transformers, Gotcha Man, even Sailor Moon, just to name a few. Perhaps the best thing about Megas XLR, the thing that kept me coming back, and the thing that I heard so much before going into the show, is its undeniable charm. It really is what you might get if Kevin Smith wrote a Gundam series. Coop is really the kind of hero you don't see in the genre very much. A chubby slacker who's usually resigned to the role of a sidekick, and yet somehow is here bucking trends. It's no wonder with all this that the show has amassed a really great cult status.
I don't understand. How did you fix the stabilizer?
Hey, when in doubt, duck it. And you said it couldn't be fixed. Huh? Huh?
Primitive. but amazing technology.
Now, that's not to say the show is somehow perfect. It's aiming for a very select audience, which means you'll probably love it or hate it. Not to mention, on a technical and animation level, the show can sometimes look a little rushed or sloppy, especially in the first season, although it did get better, with a lot of art cheats being implemented, white flashes and overuse of speed lines, that sort of thing. And while I did enjoy the comedy, I couldn't help but feel the writers were pulling their punches in a few places, like they wanted to go a little harder, maybe a little raunchier, a little bit more adult, but they just couldn't given the constrictions of children's television. Megas XLR was cancelled after only 2 seasons, yet another Cartoon Network casualty put out to pasture for not selling enough toys. However, unlike Symbiotic Titan, this story might just have a happy ending after all. On April 29th, 2013, George Christic posted a tweet saying that he and Chris Prionsky were having a meeting at Titmouse to discuss bringing back Megas XLR after a fan Twitter campaign. And the cherry on top of this good news Sunday was that Valve, the company known for games such like Portal and Half-Life, was supposedly in talks to make Megas XLR into a video game. Now, given Valve's already stellar comedic credentials, a work like this seems to be a match made in comedy heaven, especially given that the show already has a ton of great video game trappings. You wouldn't need to invent very much. In conclusion, if you like fast cars, rock music, and giant robots, then Megas XLR might just be the show for you. And if you don't like any of those things, then God, you must be dead inside. So, until the robots rise again, I was late to this Slurpee drinking, Jersey loving robot party, but now I'm glad to be here.